Now, what will Singapore look like in the next 50 years? We got a glimpse into the Urban Redevelopment Authority's latest long-term plan unveiled today. Among the key things, public housing will be built at Bayshore and Upper Changi as part of a broader plan to mix public and private housing island-wide. And to address calls for more inclusive housing towns, URA says government agencies will plan for more towns and estates with both public and private homes. Shifting to plans for Paya Lebar, not too far from my neighbourhood actually. After the airbase is relocated in the 2030s, the site will be transformed into a new town with housing and recreational facilities, where the old runway could be a focal point. The 800 hectares of land will also provide space for businesses to offer employment opportunities. And if you like walking or cycling through the rail corridor, 4 more identity corridors will be created. As the name suggests, these are aimed at strengthening the identity of distinctive places and safeguarding the nation's heritage. The 4 new corridors are the Thomson-Kallang Corridor, the Marina Bay Southern Ridges Corridor, an inner ring linking fringe districts around the city centre, and the Geylang-Changi Corridor that is branded Historic East. For more on the move to the greater mix of private and public housing, let's speak with property analyst Nicholas Mark. He's head of research and consultancy at ERA Real Estate. Nicholas, Bayshore, Simei, Marina East and South, Sembawang North, Sengkang West, these are some areas identified for a private and public housing mix. What do you make of these choices?
Well, I think all these locations have something in common, which is that there is a relatively large area that is still vacant and available for future development. Take, for example, in the Bayshore area, if any one of us were to drive or take a taxi to Changi Airport, you'll come across one part of it before you reach Changi Airport where there's a lot of trees on the northern part of the ECP. And this is part of this particular Bayshore area. It's between, it's somewhere near the new and upcoming Bayshore MRT stations. So the government has already built MRT stations there, and they basically is just waiting for the future development of the piece of land there for housing, commercial, and also other type of amenities.
Now, do you foresee any effect on housing prices in these areas when URA's upcoming plans come to fruition?
Well, I don't think it is the government's intention to move the needle a bit too much on the housing prices when they were to develop these areas. But I think it will have a positive impact on housing prices. First and foremost, these developments that will come out are fairly new, and so they may set new benchmark prices in that location. And for private housing there, the land will be sold through the government land sale program, and developers who are still quite hungry for land, I think the future potential of these locations and may bid quite aggressively for lands there. Of course, that depends on the market conditions at the time that the land tender is closed. And this may also set new benchmark prices in some of these locations. But I think the government will release this land in a very moderated pace so as not to cause either an oversupply of housing in that location or to release it too slowly and cause a backlog of shortages.
What are other pros and cons of this move to mix things up?
Well, I think it's quite positive because, you see, in some of these locations, like, for example, in the Marina South area, and there is no public housing in those locations. The government, in its move to try to have build a more integrated communities where it's not just going to be a pure private residential area, a private residential enclave, which is only for the more well-to-do. I think it's quite positive to mix both private and public housing together so that we can have a more integrated society where people of all socio-economic classes are able to mix together.
Are there any cons to this move at all?
Generally, I think the benefits are going to outweigh the shortcomings. But if there's any shortcomings, it will be more of the case of some of the public housing that's going to be released in this location due to their expected popularity are going to be under the PLH, the public housing in prime location model, which means that buyers of these HDB flats will have certain restrictions, like, for example, a 10-year minimum occupation period. There will be a subsidy clawback, as well as they'll be subject to income ceilings. So that might be one of the downside, which means that buyers of these HDB flats, if they are not willing to accept these restrictions, they may be excluded from applying and buying these HDB flats.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos.